Hello students, welcome to Tobin Shiran team. Today we will be giving you notes on the topic Renaissance period in the history of English literature. So today's class is about the Renaissance period. Okay. The Renaissance period in the history of English literature is generally considered to have taken place between 14th and 17th centuries, with its height occurring in the 16th century. This period was marked by a renewed interest in classical learning as well as a flourishing of the arts and sciences. The Renaissance saw the development of a new literary style that emphasized humanism and individualism. Writers of the time sought to express the complexity of the human experience through their works, and they drew on classical literature and mythology for inspiration. Some of the major writers of the Renaissance period include William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, John Milton, Edmund Spenser, and Ben Jonson. In addition to literature, the Renaissance also saw the significant advancements in the fields of science, art, philosophy. The printing press, invented in the mid 15th century, allowed for the dissemination of knowledge and ideas on a much wider scale than ever before. Overall, the Renaissance was a time of great intellectual and cultural growth, and its impact on English literature and society can still be felt today. The Renaissance period in English literature was marked by a number of significant developments and innovations. One of the key features of the period was the rise of humanism, an intellectual movement that placed a new emphasis on the study of classical texts and individuals' role in society. This led to the renewed interest in the arts as writers and artists sought to express the complexity of human experience in their work. One of the most notable literary forms of the Renaissance period was the sonnet, a type of poem that originated in Italy and was popularized in England by writers like Sir Philip Sidney and William Shakespeare. Other popular literary genres of the period included the epic poem, the pastoral, and the prose romance. The Renaissance period also saw the emergence of important writers, many of whom are still celebrated today. William Shakespeare is perhaps the most famous writer of the period, known for his plays and sonnets that continue to be widely read and performed. Other notable writers of the period include Christopher Marlowe, John Donne, Edmund Spenser, Ben Jonson, and Francis Bacon. In addition to literature, the Renaissance period saw significant advances in science, philosophy, and art. The period saw the emergence of figures like Galileo Galilei and Francis Bacon, who made significant contributions to the fields of astronomy and philosophy, respectively. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo created some of the most enduring works of art in Western history. Overall, the Renaissance period in English literature was a time of significant change and growth, marked by renewed interest in classical learning, a flowering of the arts and sciences, and the emergence of some of the most celebrated writers and artists in the Western history. The Renaissance period in English literature was not without its controversies and conflicts. One of the major issues of the time was the tension between traditional values of the medieval period and the emerging ideas of Renaissance. This tension played out in various ways, including in the development of different literary styles and forms. One of the most notable examples of this tension was the so-called quarrel of the ancients and the moderns. This debate centered around the question of whether the classical texts of ancient Greece and Rome were superior to the contemporary literature of the Renaissance. Some writers, such as Philip Sidney, argued that classical texts represented the height of literary achievement and should be emulated by contemporary writers, while others, such as Ben Jonson, championed the value of contemporary literature and rejected the idea of blindly imitating the past. Another major controversy of the Renaissance period was the religious turmoil that swept across Europe. In England, this was particularly evident in the conflict between the Protestant and Catholic faith, which had significant political and social implications. This religious tension was reflected in much of the literature of the time, which often explored themes of faith, morality, and individual conscience. Despite these controversies, the Renaissance period was a time of great creativity and innovation in English literature. The works of writers like Shakespeare and Milton continue to be celebrated even today for their profound insights into human condition and their enduring literary achievements. Overall, the Renaissance period represents a pivotal moment in the history of English literature, making the emergence of a new era of artistic and intellectual exploration that has continued to shape our culture to this day. One of the key characteristics of the Renaissance period in English literature was its focus on individualism and the celebration of human potential. This emphasis on the individual was reflected in the literature of the time, which often explored themes of personal growth, self discovery, and the pursuit of knowledge and excellence. One of the most significant literary achievements of the Renaissance period was the development of the English language itself. The period saw a significant expansion of the English vocabulary as writers sought to capture the nuances and complexities of human experience. This led to the creation of many new words and phrases, as well as a greater use of metaphor and imagery. The Renaissance period was also marked by significant social and political changes. The rise of the middle class and the growth of trade and commerce had a significant impact on the English society, leading to new opportunities and challenges for individuals and communities. These changes were reflected in the literature of the time, which often explored themes of social mobility, ambition, and complexities of relationships and power dynamics. So that's all about the Renaissance period in the history of English literature. Overall, the Renaissance period in English literature represents a time of great creativity, innovation, and change. The writers of the period sought to explore the complexities of human experience in new and profound ways, and their works continue to be celebrated for their enduring literary and cultural significance. So, that's all about today's video. If you find today's video useful, please subscribe to the Open Sharan team. Bye bye.